Okay, before we begin, we're going to have a quiz on Wednesday over this very thing. You need to know your two triangles and be able to do some trigonometry from it. So, here's the two triangles you need to know. If you want to pause it before I give the answers, please do so now, but you need to figure out all three sides of the triangles and those four trig answers. So go ahead and pause if you want to. Otherwise, I'm going to figure them out right now. Okay, so those are the two triangles you need to memorize. Now, using those, we need to figure this stuff out. Well, we know that pi over 4 is the same thing as 45 degrees. And so if I were to use, so, ka, toa, the sine of 45 degrees is root 2 over 2. Pi over 6, that's really 30 degrees. The cosine of 30 degrees is adjacent over hypotenuse. Pi over 3 is really 60 degrees. Here's 60 degrees. The tangent would be opposite over adjacent, which if you had said square root of 3, that would even be better. Again, pi over 3 is 60 degrees. The sine of 60 degrees would equal root 3 over 2. Okay, so you need to know this, right? So please commit this triangle to memory, these two, practice them. If you know those, this whole unit is not going to be very tough to do, okay? Now then, let's look at some unit circle work. I kind of called a unit circle the bow tie. By that I mean it's a unit circle where the radius is 1, and we're going to draw a bunch of bow ties to figure out the trigonometry of what's going on. Let me kind of explain what it is, because as I said, if you know these two triangles, you'll know to trig everywhere. Let's see if you can tell what I mean. So first off, I'm going to plot out the point 3, -4. That's down here. Now everything's always going to be on the circle. So here's 3, -4. There's theta. Now the x value is 3, the y value is -4, and if I do Pythagorean theorem, I get 5. Now we're in quadrant number 3, so I can real quickly figure out the sine, the cosine, the tangent. Now then, I want to look at other quadrants, right? I want to see what this is in all the other ones. Well, if I were to reflect this point and put it up here, now that becomes 3 +4. So this side is 4 and this side is 5. And now we're in quadrant 1. So, and again, here's theta. Sine would be 4/5, cosine would be 3/5, and tangent would be 4/3. Notice it's the same answers as quadrant 3, except the signs are different sometimes. We're going to see what's happening with that. Let's go ahead and move this point over here now. So here's theta, and now we're at the point -3, -4. So this is -3, this is -4, this is 5. We're in quadrant 3. So the sine is -4/5, cosine is -3/5, the tangent is 4/3, right? Because it'd be -4 over -3, so that really becomes positive. Okay, let's do one more quadrant here, and that would be up here, right? And this would be at -3, 4. So I call these bow ties because you can kind of see the bow tie, right? Here's the bow tie on his movie star, and we see the bow tie on our circle here. So in quadrant 2, the sine would be 4/5, cosine would be -3/5, tangent would be 4 over -3. Now then, if we look, in quadrant 1, everything is positive. In quadrant number 2, just the sine gave us a positive answer. In quadrant number 3, just the tangent gave us a positive answer. And in quadrant 4, just cosine is giving us a positive answer. So what I'm trying to say is, if we know the answer in quadrant 1, that answer will be the same in every other quadrant. The only difference is it'll either be positive or negative. So what I do is I tell people to remember this acronym. So A stands for everything is positive, right? Because in quadrant 1, everything was positive. In quadrant 2, just sine was positive. Now, if sine is positive, then so is cosecant, right? In quadrant 3, just the tangent was positive. And if tangent's positive, so is cotangent. And in quadrant 4, just the cosine is positive. This will tell you which answers should be positive or negative. And I've got a nice little acronym for you. It's called All Science Teachers Are Crazy. And that's pretty true, okay? So let me kind of go with you where we're going to go with this, right? This is going to be what tomorrow's lesson is. If I were to ask you for the sine of, no, let's not do sine. Let's say I were to ask you for the cosine of 5 pi over 4. What would the answer be? Well, it's over 4. And we know everything over 4 is a 45 degree. Now, the cosine of 45 degrees is root 2 over 2. So that's like, hey, we're in the first quadrant here. What's the answer? Now, the question is this answer going to be positive or negative? Well, 5 pi over 4 is in the third quadrant. And we know that in the third quadrant, only tangent is positive. So cosine would be negative. That's where we're going with this, okay? So that's what we're going to do tomorrow. Now, today, you're going to have 3 questions that are like this. And so I might give you a point. Let's say I gave you -5, -12. And I wanted you to find the sine of theta, the cosine of theta, and the tangent of theta, okay? First off, let's plot this out. I believe -5, -12 is down here somewhere. Creates this triangle. We know that the x value is -5, the y value is -12, and if I do Pythagorean theorem, I know that this missing side is 13. It's also a triple, 5, 12, 13. Now, my question is, what's the sine, cosine, and tangent? Well, the sine is opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And the tangent is opposite over adjacent, which those cancel, leaving 12/5. And I know that all science teachers are crazy. Only tangent should be positive. And sure enough, tangent's the only one that's positive. The others are negative. This is what you have to do tonight, right? On the Google Classroom, I've got 4 problems like this for you to do.